So if you have a few minutes, let's have a look at the new features and enhancements that we're going to see in WordPress 5.6, which is scheduled to roll out in early December 2020. This is the third major update of the year. And although there are over 220 changes, a lot of those are bug fixes and security patches. I just want to go over the most important things that I saw in terms of the new features and enhancements to the Gutenberg block editor. So, before we go on, this is a new theme, brand new. It's going to come out with 2021, and it follows in the footsteps of 2020, 2019, 2018, all those WordPress stock themes. This one has a lot of accessibility features baked into it, so that's really nice. Anyway, let's look at these new features, and these are features that are new to the Gutenberg editor. So here we have video text track. What does that mean? Well, I've already uploaded a video into my media library, and I can now add a subtitle or a caption or a description to any video file that I upload to my media library. This is not going to work if you embed a YouTube movie or a Vimeo movie. This is just for files uploaded to your media library. Okay, so I've already done that. And if I just click anywhere on the video, we have this new tool in the toolbox where you can add your video track. So let me just do that. So I'm going to upload a file. Now, the file format is something called a VTT, video text track. It's just a regular plain ASCII text file. I'll show you that in a minute. And for label, I'm just going to say play. And you'll see where that all ties in a second. The language is English. And I'm going to choose what kind. Subtitles, I'll just leave it that way. I'm going to close this. And now I'm going to update my page. And let's have a look how this works. So here's that 2021 theme. I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to play my video. Here we go. Where's my captioning? Okay, let me show you. In order to show the captions, or the subtitles in this case, I have to make sure it's on. So I just go over to my player, and I click on play. And let's continue on. Got a bike lane. Look at that. So the words appear in the video as I speak them. So this is Congress Avenue, which takes you into the main drag of the city. Woohoo! Okay, I think you get the idea. What about that text file that I uploaded? Let's have a look at that. So again, it's just a regular text file with a VTT extension, and you can see it's a web VTT file. So it's got a very simple format. So for the first instance where I speak, it's number 1. It tells you the duration or when I start speaking, which is 3.5 seconds, and then it stops at 5 seconds. Here we go. And number 2, you can see where the timestamp is. It's 5.5 seconds, and so on. Here we go. Number 3, number 4, and so on. You can actually, I believe, add HTML and CSS if you want to do some more fancy styling, I suppose, with the way that the text appears in your video, but I just kept it plain vanilla. Now, let's go back and look at some of these other new features. The second one here deals with taking a series of blocks. Like here, I have one paragraph here. Okay, you can see a paragraph block. And then I have an image block, and then another paragraph block. So suppose you start writing and you go, I'd rather have organized this content into columns. It looks like I have to start all over again. Nope, not anymore. All you have to do now is just select, I'm just highlighting the 3 blocks that you want to put into a column. And voila, this little transform tool shows up, and I'm going to click on that. And so we've always had the group option over here, so you can put all those 3 blocks into a group block, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to put it into a columns block. So that's what's new. So now I have 3 columns, but you're going to say, yeah, but what a mess this is, right? Yes, I agree. So I'm just going to click on the image, and Let me just size it down over here. Now, I suspect that's something that's going to get fixed over time because this is a new feature, but we'll see. That shouldn't be a problem. And last, the cover block now has the ability to have a tiled background. Well, what am I talking about? Let's put in right here the cover block itself, and I'll show you. Okay. Now, if you're familiar with the cover block, normally it's an image and then some text on top of it. But now that image can be repeated or tiled. So let me pull one out of my media library over here. And it's right over here, the image I want to use. The image dimensions are 20 pixels by 20 pixels. If I just put it in here, well, this isn't exactly tiled, right? No. For the tiling, it took me a little while to figure this out. You have to go to the gearbox over here, or the gear icon, and I want to just make sure I'm working with the cover block, and I am now. And I'm going to go right over here where it says repeat background. Click on that, and now you see what I'm talking about. So that's good. And if I wanted to, I could just put in a little bit of text over here. Well, let's just call it red squares. Okay. And one last little effect that I could put into my cover block is, and this is not new, what I just did. So when I scroll, the background stays in place, but the text appears to go past it. All right. Well, those are the three new features in the blocks. And let's leave the page. We can do that. Let me show you some of the enhancements. Now, I'm only going to show you a couple of them. There are more than just what I'm showing you, but these are the ones that kind of stand out. There's something now called the single column block. We've had the column block for quite a while, but let me show you what I mean by single. So I'm going to put this in over here, and let's go find the column block. So I'm just going to do a search for the column block. Here we go. And here, right over here, this is what's new. So you always were able to create a column block with multiple columns, right? Well, now you can just pick this one out here, and I'll show you why this might be useful. So I pick this one out here, and right over here, let's say I want to put in a paragraph of text. So I put in my paragraph, and I'm going to just paste in my, well, that doesn't look anything revolutionary, but if I go over to the gears, well, I see I'm working in my paragraph block. That's not what I want. I'm going to work in the column block, and I'm going to pick what kind of width do I want. So for the width, I'm going to pick just arbitrarily. I'm going to pick 50, and this will be 50%. And now you can see it's 50% of, I'm just going to see if I can hide. There you go. Okay, so it's right inside of the containing block, which is something called the columns block. All right. But now, if I go back to the column block, which I am now, you can see it's the column block. Can I left align this or right align this? This just seems to be like centered in the middle. That's right. That's how it is now. I do suspect you're going to have more flexibility with working with this single column block, but at least we have this now. And if you didn't want 50%, you could change that to something else. So another enhancement also comes in the area of the column block when we can decide the widths of our columns in something other than a percent. Let's add another column block right over here. And I'm just going to, okay. And this time I'm going to use 2 columns. Okay, and in both cases, I'm going to put paragraphs in there. So here's my paragraph. And then over here, this is going to be a paragraph too. So I can just put a paragraph in here. Now, up until now, you could only make these percentages. Well, let's see if I can make one, a pixel size. So I'll pick out this column over here. Well, I didn't really check I haven't really selected the column block itself. I've just selected the paragraph. If you're not really sure, well, you can sort of see, okay, so that's not what I want. I always have to make sure what block are you working with. So let's go over here, and you can see I'm in the paragraph block. So I'm just going to navigate over here to where it says column. And that's what I want to do. So the column width, you can now set it as something other than percent. And you can see over here, it's kind of tiny, but you could set these as percent, which was the only thing you could do before. But now I can do pixels, ems, all kinds of things here. I'm going to choose pixels, okay, right over here, pixels. And I am going to put in, let's say 200 pixels. So that's 200 pixels. So you can see it's not the same. It's a little smaller. And this is 200 pixels across. And then you can come over here if you wanted to set that. You can do that as well. I'm just going to leave it alone. And the other enhancement that was sort of note here was that the heading element, or the H2, H3, H4, all that stuff, can now be either full screen or wide width. So what does that mean? Well, let me just select this over here. This turns out to be an H2 element. You can see that over here. That's fine. Right over here, I can now see, oh, it says full screen. What does that mean? So I'm going to click on that. I get it. I'm going to update, and I am going to have a look. And let's scroll down here. And you can see this would be all the way across the page. Now, of course, it didn't have enough words to fill the whole page, but you get the idea that this would be full screen. Okay, so there you go. New features and some of the enhancements. This wasn't all of them, but the ones that really jumped out and were noticeable and things that you can use right away.